Okay, Tribute to the Troops special. Let's make this clear. It's not one of the best shows that WWE puts on because of the overtones of patriotism. Now, don't think I don't care about patriotism, because I respect all soldiers, police officers. I know how hard it is to do what they do. They made the choice. But when it's injected into a wrestling program, depending on how much you put in, is how much people are going to view it. Now, I'm objectively seeing this. I'm not hating on the military. I'm not. But as an objective reviewer of this, did they put too much in? Did you get enough of what you normally want to watch? I'm not going to say it was 100% a good balance. It was a bit more skewed towards tribute, that's obvious. But was it done untastefully? No. The opening did have a good Singing the Beautiful, no problem. Then what we got was the first match in the round one of the, well, of course they're going to do it. It made the best sense, the U.S. tournament for Logan Paul's title. We got Santos Escobar versus Dragon Lee. Now, we did get Dom coming out, who will be facing Dragon Lee tomorrow, which I will be doing a review of. I'm going to check again, just to make sure there's nothing extra added to Final Resolution for Impact Wrestling, soon to be TNA. But it looks like that's still the card, so I'm going to do Deadline first. But he was there. There was no real general interference. Much. Let's just say much. In the end, Santos Escobar did win. And I wasn't surprised. There was no way he wasn't going to win. And then Dom got into Dragon Lee's face afterward while he was not on the mat. They're at least going with continuity. And I'm very glad about this. I'm saying it right now. You can say a lot of how much WWE has changed in the last 4, 5, or 6 months. But easily, at least, the continuity of Raw or SmackDown dealing with NXT at least is kept. But with so much interjection of the main roster into NXT, it's very convoluted right now. Are they still in a brand split or not? Which we know they're not, even though they keep saying they are. Second match, which they showed, and let's make this clear, they were very heavy on Montez Ford and Bobby Lashley. They wanted to make sure they were both spotlighted because Bobby's a former Army soldier, and I believe Montez was a former Marine. Wanted to make sure that they were both spotlighted in their lives, how they dealt with this stuff, and that's what we got, which was fine. I mean, we don't usually hear about Bobby's service or Montez Ford's service from the Marines or the Army. We don't. At least you can say that easily. They don't do it through the time of the year. At least they do it here. And it makes sense. And he went up against someone that we have not seen for a very long time, that I'm surprised was even still employed. And that was Kiran Cross. I'm making it clear. Did I believe Kiran Cross was going to win this? Come on. Come on. There's no way he was going to win. No way. No way. Poof. It was a decent match for what it was, but let's make this clear. They were heavy for Bobby, no problem. But next to this being tribute of the troops in the name tribute, what will we ever get from Kiran Cross? Not much. Honestly, I don't know why Killer Cross came back to WWE. He should have stayed away. Being honest, he should have never returned to WWE because honestly, what have they really done with him? Yeah, he had a little bit going on with AJ Styles. And I do believe at one point he was... Who else was he working with? Rey Mysterio as well. But where did it get him? Nowhere. So seeing him here in this match is just a body. They just threw a body at Bobby Lashley. And when he won, he left and he was greeted by the Street Profits, who looked very dapper. I'm not saying they didn't. Montez Ford wearing one black glove. What does that mean? A little bit of Michael Jackson respect, or he just wanted to try and look like Hitman. I don't know. Next match, which I did not care at all about. I'm sorry. There are only 2 ways that match was going to end. 2. One, when it was Charlotte versus Asuka, taking nothing away from Bayley, because I will talk about Bayley in a minute when it comes to damage control. What did you actually expect? Particularly in how Asuka performed, and particularly how Charlotte performed. Asuka was either going to job the Charlotte clean because there was going to be no interference, because Bayley wasn't going to come out, and the rest of damage control was taken out by Michin and Zelina Vega, as well as who else? We got a little bit of Blackheart and a little bit of the let's make it clear, a little bit. I believe Bianca was there too. I mean, in the end, they were all gone, but it had to be one of two ways. Asuka was going to job, or Charlotte was going to job because of outside interference, which happened with Bayley. And I wasn't surprised. I knew it was going to be one and two, and I believed it was going to be she was going to job. And that was because of outside interference, because of what's going on with the story with damage control. We already know something's going on with damage control. We already know that Bayley is going to possibly leave damage control, or Bayley is going to be kicked out of damage control. The question is, will she turn face? This is what we already know. Bayley doesn't have to turn face. She can get booted out of damage control and end up acting like a Sami Zayn. Honestly, this feels like a somewhat of a smaller bloodline type of thing, where Bayley has done everything she could to make sure that damage control has been kept safe. And now, they've turned on her. And she's booted out. And then she gets resentful about it and wants revenge. And then she tries to get Io's belt. Because that's who I think would be the only person that Io is going to get it from. It's not going to be Bianca. It's not going to be, see it like this. It's not going to be Bianca. Charlotte. It probably will be, but if it's not Charlotte, it's not going to be any others. It's going to be Bayley, if they're going in that direction. Which I don't think they are, but Bayley seems like the best option for this story. Do I believe they'll go there? No. But would it be the best one? Yes. That's just me. Now, the two segments we got. One from Cody Rhodes, highlighting John Cena while going to tribute to the troops many, many years before. I kind of wish he hadn't done that. I kind of wish, because he was around those times, I wish he had been involved in that. Now, I don't know if he went and did tribute to the troops. I think he did. I would have liked to see him back then. Him, while they did the tribute to the troops, because I do believe he was still there before he left. I do believe he did go and did the tribute to the troops at least once or twice, and I would have liked to see him there instead of John Cena. But they wanted to spotlight John because he was synonymous with it. They did. And they also did JBL, who was at ringside. Also, we got to hear a little bit of a Cody Rhodes talking about, well, wanting to finish his story. And him being happy that CM Punk is back. Let me give it to you like this. The road to create history is paved with blood. And the question is it going to be blood of Cody Rhodes being allowed to finish his story? Or is it going to be the blood of CM Punk, who's going to be allowed to finish his story? Because CM Punk came right afterwards. A little after that, because we did get the CM Punk segment. And we did get Brad Nesser, because he did talk during the, which match was it? Was it the it was the Bobby Lashley match. I don't really watch Army and Navy football. I usually don't. But I have heard the Brad Nesser name once or twice, knowing that he has done it a couple of times. So him being there and doing an some very tiny announcement for Bobby and Kiran Cross was okay. But once CM Punk came out, once he talked about the bloodline, talked about Roman Reigns, talked about the one person that didn't like him back, and that's Seth Rollins, which we now know that this is a storyline. And like I said in my review of, when we found out later in my Gump report, that if this is, was it my Gump report? I think it was my Gump report. Was it real when it comes to CM Punk? It's very hard to tell, at least at that time. Was it real because of how far they went with it? If they did, they're really going very far with it, which it looks like they are. Or maybe they might actually be a little not liking each other in real life, because Seth Rollins can still work with CM Punk, but it doesn't mean you have to like him. Let's make it clear. Seth is a professional as CM Punk. They'll get the work done. So, as I said that, there's still a good possibility it will get done. But there might be a little bit of non-liking each other there. You never know. But he made it very clear that CM Punk wants WrestleMania. He wants it because he did mention a Cody Rhodes. He did talk about Roman Reigns not being there. And he really believed that because he's going to be possibly signing to either SmackDown or Raw, honestly, he shouldn't sign to either one. You want to make this interesting? Don't sign him to either show. Keep him a free agent. If you want to make sure that he can deal with either Seth Rollins or a Roman Reigns, because he could say at Royal Rumble, if he did win, he would go for Roman Reigns or he'd go for Seth Rollins. It's better to keep him a free agent. I would rather see him when he goes over to Raw, that he has both contracts and he takes them both out of the leather linings and tears them both up and say, I don't need to be stuck to either show. I'm CM Punk and I can go wherever the fuck I want. That would be the best way to do it. But they're going to stick him on one of the shows, because if Randy's going to SmackDown, you know Punk's going to probably go to Raw. But I do believe the best option for Punk would not be a exclusive for Raw and exclusive for SmackDown. He should just tear up the contract and say, I don't want to be for either. I want to be a free agent and go wherever the hell I want. That would be the best way to be able to sprinkle a little bit of Punk on both shows, instead of saying, I got to get permission or I have the right to do this, when everyone knows that the brand split is supposed to be there and you shouldn't be doing it. It's going to still piss off fans. That's what I think. Now, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy versus LA and Orton. Now, I got to say this about Randall Keith Orton. Randy, if you guys have never heard of bubble abs, it's, from what I understand, it's some type of condition where people are doing a lot of exercising, bodybuilding or something, instead of just having flatboard abs, they begin to start developing a belly. But it's not like it's unhealthy in some cases. It's just they just start bulging out like a balloon. And they're still muscled out. They're in great shape, but for some reason, they start showing a bubble in their stomach and where the abs will be. And when you look at Randy Orton, it looks like he's beginning to develop one. No one fully understands why there's a bubble ab problem with people, because some people are getting it now when they really do intensive training and dieting and stuff now. Now people are getting it. But it looks like he's getting it. Doesn't mean he isn't in good shape. But I do believe that Randy is beginning to develop one. And I'm hoping he'll be fine with that. And LA is LA. He looked perfectly fine. The match was okay, but let's make this clear. And if anyone's noticed, and I'm sure you noticed, who has been jobbing a lot lately? Who has been jobbing a lot? Jimmy has been jobbing a lot lately. Not Solo. Jimmy on SmackDown has been jobbing a lot. Because in the end, when LA was about to do the gravy train on Jimmy, it was Randy that got his RKO. And he won for the match, for their tag match. But have you noticed that Jimmy has been getting his ass messed over a lot? That makes you wonder what standing Jimmy Uso has in WWE right now. As you guys know, I'm not saying that Jimmy's in trouble. I'm not saying that Jimmy's being shitted on because what's going on with Trinity. Not. Because she's been there a while, and honestly, I just feel like when it comes to Jimmy Uso, they got nothing for him. Between Jay and Jimmy, Jay's the more charismatic. Honestly. I've always liked Jimmy. I always thought Jimmy could get somewhere if they were willing to write for him. And they did have that small little story between him, The Miz, and Trinity. when she was trying to get into acting. But now that you see Jimmy in this situation where literally Solo's not jobbing, great. Roman's not jobbing, great. But Jimmy's the one who's jobbing a lot. You wonder, where is the direction for him? Because they really messed up his direction. He is directionless. Until Roman comes back and maybe stays there more constantly, we're just going to see Jimmy job all the time. And not saying it's great, but it's what we got. I almost feel sorry for him. Almost. But at this point, I can't feel sorry for him because he's been in the bloodline for a long time. He's had a lot of moments. Seeing him in this situation, I'm going like, well, they had to be up. They got to be this. And your other brother's doing well, and Solo is being protected, which he should be until he's ready to be off on his own, because that's what's going on here. Solo is not ready to be on his own. That's one of the reasons why they broke up Jimmy and Jay, to give Solo a chance to work with Jimmy so he can get his own credibility, his own build until they believe he's ready, and then he goes off on his own. And I do believe Jay and Jimmy will come back as a tag team again. I do hope that Jay does win not tag gold, but gold. That's what I want for Jay. I would love to see Jay become Intercontinental Champion. I believe he can pull it off, but that's just me. Peace.